The outsider's prayer begins. God, I don't even know how to begin this. It feels strange talking to you from the edge of everything, from this place where nothing fits and no one seems to notice I'm missing. I'm not angry, just tired. Tired of pretending I belong when my soul keeps telling me I don't. Tired of showing up, fitting in, wearing smiles that don't reach my eyes. Tired of feeling like the extra puzzle piece left out of every picture. Like I was made for somewhere, but that somewhere forgot I exist. I walk through rooms full of people, but I feel like a shadow. I laugh at jokes I don't understand, nod at conversations that make no space for me, and go home carrying a weight I can't explain to anyone. Even the people who love me don't really see me. They see the version I let them see. The one who doesn't ask too many questions, doesn't admit the loneliness, doesn't say, I feel like I'm floating above my own life. God, do you see me? Because sometimes I wonder if even you have a place for me. I wonder if you made a mistake when you knit me together, when you made me sensitive, deep, questioning, unable to just fit in like everyone else. I've tried. God, you know I've tried. I've joined groups, I've prayed hard, I've smiled more. I've convinced myself that maybe I'm just going through a phase. But the ache doesn't leave. And now I'm whispering from the margins, not demanding answers, just asking. Is there a place where I belong, God? Not just physically, but soul deep, heart-rooted, the kind of belonging that doesn't require me to shrink. I don't need the crowd. I don't need applause. I just need a place to rest, where I don't feel like a guest in my own skin, where I don't have to translate myself just to be understood. So tonight I come to you. No filters, no masks, no polished prayer. Just me, the outsider, the wanderer, the one with the silent scream in her chest. Please hear me. Please stay. And please don't say I'm overthinking. Don't say I'm being dramatic. Just hold space for me, even if no one else ever has. Because if you are my home, maybe I'll stop floating one day.
The silent ache of not belonging. God, there's a kind of pain that doesn't scream. It doesn't bleed. It doesn't bruise. It just lingers. It hides beneath the routines, in the way I dress to blend in the way I talk just enough to be polite, in the way I stay silent when something inside me is begging to be known. I carry it with me everywhere, this ache of not belonging. It's not loud, it's not dramatic, it's just there, always. Like a soft whisper beneath every moment. You don't fit here. Sometimes I wonder if anyone else feels it. If someone else in the same room is silently screaming too, smiling on the outside, but breaking quietly inside. There are days I envy the people who seem so at ease, so rooted in their places, so sure of their welcome. They walk into rooms like they were made for them. I walk into rooms and scan for exits. I don't want to feel this way, God. I don't want to be the person who always feels like the background character in her own life, but I do. And the worst part? No one sees it. Because this pain doesn't make noise. It doesn't cry out in the night. It just rests behind the eyes, weighs down the breath, and eats away at hope one quiet day at a time. I've stopped explaining it to people. They don't understand. They offer cliches. You'll find your people. Just give it time. As if this ache is something temporary. But God, It feels permanent, like I was born with it. And yet, even in this silence, I want to believe you're near. That you see this ache I can't name. That you sit beside me in the spaces where I feel most invisible. That you whisper back when the world is too loud and too empty at the same time. Because if you see this pain, maybe I'm not so lost. Maybe I do belong somewhere, even if I haven't found it yet. Maybe I belong to you.
When home doesn't feel like home. God, I used to think home meant safety, comfort, warmth, a place where I could exhale and stop performing. But lately, home feels more like a stage. Every word is measured, every emotion carefully edited, every version of myself adjusted to avoid conflict, to avoid silence, to avoid feeling like an alien in my own space. I sit at the dinner table, and the laughter feels distant. The voices sound familiar, but they don't speak to me. Not really. They talk around me. They talk past me, but never to the part of me that's hurting. And I wonder, how can four walls feel colder than the world outside? How can a roof above me make me feel so exposed? I walk from room to room, looking for pieces of myself, but all I find are masks I've worn to keep the peace. Smiles I've painted on so no one would ask what's wrong. Silence I've chosen because the truth always felt too heavy for others to carry. And God, I'm tired. I want to belong somewhere without auditioning for love. I want to sit in a room and just be, without shrinking, without pretending, without checking if I'm too much or not enough. I want home to mean what it's supposed to mean. Not a place I return to because I have to, but a place I run to because I'm safe there. Do you understand that, Lord? Do you see how deep this longing runs? Do you feel how hard it is to be surrounded and still feel so alone? If you are my refuge, then maybe you're the only place I've ever truly belonged. Maybe your presence is the only home that doesn't require me to apologize for how I feel. So tonight, I leave the noise outside. I come to you barefoot, broken, real, and I whisper what I can't say aloud in the rooms I sleep in. Let me find home in you, because the one I live in doesn't feel like mine anymore.
The church bench that feels cold. God, I thought your house would feel different. I thought stepping into your sanctuary would melt the ice I've carried inside for so long. But even in the place that bears your name, I feel like a stranger. The pew beneath me feels hard, not just physically, but emotionally. Like there's no room for softness here, no space for honest doubt, for brokenness that doesn't look beautiful yet. I sit surrounded by worship, but my soul doesn't know how to join in. The songs sound sweet, but they don't reach the aching part of me. The words rise, but my heart doesn't follow. And I wonder, is it me, or is there something missing in the way we do church? Everyone else seems so sure, so connected. Hands raised, eyes closed, voices bold. And then there's me, quiet, still, questioning, trying to believe that you're here too, even if I don't feel you the way they do. I came here for connection, for a sense of belonging that transcends the small talk in the lobby or the performance on the stage. But instead, I feel like I'm playing a role again, smiling when I want to cry, nodding when I want to scream, shaking hands when I want to be held. God, is it wrong to admit that your people sometimes make me feel more alone? Is it wrong to long for a church that makes room for the misfits, the tired, the ones too soul-weary to clap on beat? I'm not here to judge. I'm just here because I have nowhere else to go. And deep down, I still believe you're in this place. Even if I can't find you in the service, even if I don't feel you in the crowd. So I sit on this cold bench, not because I feel holy, but because I'm hoping you'll sit with me anyway. Maybe you're the kind of God who doesn't just dwell in the loud hallelujahs, but in the silent confessions of hearts too wounded to sing. Maybe you're here beside me, quietly whispering, you still belong, even if you don't fit.
Invisible in a world that moves too fast. God, sometimes I wonder if I've become invisible, not in a magical, mysterious way, but in a quiet, crushing kind of way. The world moves so fast. People walk past me with eyes locked on glowing screens, hearts locked in deadlines and destinations. No one looks long enough to see me. And honestly, I've stopped trying to be seen. Because when you're always the one waving while everyone's rushing, it gets exhausting. I'm not bitter. Not really. Just weary. Weary of moving at a slower pace in a world that worships speed. Weary of thinking too deeply in a culture that celebrates shallow. Weary of noticing pain that others seem to ignore. It feels like I live in slow motion, while everything else is on fast forward. Conversations are quick. Smiles are polite. Connections are filtered and fragile. And I, Lord, I'm still here carrying questions no one has time to answer. Where do people like me belong? The ones who pause. The ones who feel. The ones who crave eye contact and quiet mornings and meaning beyond the surface. I try to keep up. I try to run the race, but my soul is limping. Everyone seems to know their direction, while I'm still wondering which way is home. God, do you walk slowly enough to see me? Do you notice when I fall behind, when I linger at the edges, when I stay silent because I've forgotten what it's like to be heard? If I'm invisible to the world, can I still be visible to you? Please don't rush past me like the others do. Please don't reduce me to another face in the blur. I don't need grand gestures. I don't need miracles. I just need to know you're not in a hurry, that you have time for the one no one else slows down to see. Because if you notice me here, moving slowly, breathing deeply, aching quietly, then maybe I'm not as lost as I feel. Dear God, why was I made this way? God, I don't want to sound ungrateful. I know you formed me with care. I know you shaped every part of me with intention. But sometimes, on the quiet nights when the ache won't let me sleep, I can't help but ask, why did you make me this way? Why did you give me a heart that feels too much? Eyes that notice what others overlook? A mind that questions what others accept without hesitation? Why did you give me longings too deep for shallow spaces? Why did you make me crave connection in a world built on convenience? Why did you place me in communities where I'm always the odd one out? God, I try to see it as a gift, this sensitivity, this depth,
this quiet soul, but most days it feels like a weight, a burden, a reason people step back instead of drawing near. I wonder if there was a glitch in my design, if I was supposed to be bolder, louder, simpler, if something went wrong in the wiring of my soul. Because it's hard to love the parts of me that make me feel like I'll never truly belong anywhere. The world loves the confident, the clear, the easily categorized. I'm none of those things. I'm soft in a world that's hard. I'm slow in a world that's fast. I'm searching in a world that's already decided what the answers should be. So tonight, I bring you this question, not in rebellion, but in raw honesty. Why did you make me this way, Lord? And is there a purpose for someone like me? Because if this ache has a meaning, if this loneliness is leading me to something holy, then I'll stay. I'll wait. I'll keep asking until the silence breaks, until you speak into the shape of my soul and say, I made you on purpose, not to fit in, but to reflect a part of me no one else can. Until then, I'll try to believe that what feels like a flaw might just be a sacred fingerprint.
I smile so they don't ask questions. God, you see past my smile, don't you? Because everyone else seems satisfied with it. The small, polite curve of the lips, the practiced brightness in my eyes, the gentle laugh that floats just enough to seem okay. It's not real, not always, but it's safer than honesty. It keeps people comfortable. It spares me the awkward silences, the pity looks, the advice I didn't ask for. So, I smile, even when my chest feels hollow, even when I've cried in the shower for no reason I can explain, even when my soul is tired from carrying all the things I never say out loud. They say, "You're so strong. You're always so positive. You're doing amazing." And I nod, because telling the truth feels too heavy for the space we're in. Because most people don't want the real answer. They want reassurance that I'm okay, so they can go on with their day. But you, Lord, you're not fooled by the smile. You see the ache hiding behind my eyes. You hear the questions I never ask. You know the version of me that cries into the pillow after everyone else thinks I've got it all together. And some days, I just want someone to say, "You don't have to smile right now." I want a space to unravel, to tell the truth without being fixed, to fall apart without being rushed to heal. Is that too much, God, to be known? Not for the image I project, but for the soul I've been hiding? Please remind me, you don't need the polished version of me. You don't require a mask to draw near. You don't need the smile if it's costing me my breath. Tonight, I come to you without it. No bright face, no cheerful tone, just me, tired, honest, human. And I whisper the truth beneath the surface. I'm not okay, but I'm still yours. The pain of being the misfit. God, I've always felt like I came from somewhere else, like I was dropped into a world that speaks a language I don't fully understand. While others move with rhythm and ease, I stumble through conversations, overthinking every word, wondering if I said too much
or not enough. I'm the one who never quite fits the mold. Too quiet in loud rooms, too intense for casual talk, too different to blend in, but too afraid to stand out. They call me deep, but it feels more like distant. They say I'm unique, but it often feels like a polite way of saying, you don't belong here. And, Lord, it hurts. It hurts to always be the odd one out, to be the piece that doesn't snap cleanly into the puzzle, to live in the tension between who I am and who the world keeps asking me to be. Sometimes I try to change it, to wear their clothes, speak their words, soften the sharpness of my soul so I won't scare them off. But every time I do, I lose a little more of myself. And I wonder, do I even want to belong to a world that requires me to erase who you made me to be? I don't want to resent the world, God. I don't want to live with a guarded heart. But I'm tired of feeling like the background character in every story, the afterthought in every plan. I long for a place where my quirks aren't liabilities, where my sensitivity isn't a flaw to be corrected, but where I'm not a project to be fixed, but a person to be understood. Do you see me that way? Because if you made me this way on purpose, then maybe being a misfit isn't a mistake. Maybe it's a mark of something sacred, something set apart, not to be excluded, but to be used differently. So tonight, I lay it down. All the moments I tried to squeeze into tight spaces, all the times I bent myself to fit in, I bring them to you and ask, God, if I'm a misfit in this world, can I belong fully in yours?
My heart wanders, even when I'm still. God, I could be sitting still, feet planted, back straight, face calm. And yet my heart is halfway across the universe, searching for something it can't name. It wanders, Lord, not out of rebellion, not because I don't want to be here, but because here so often feels wrong, empty, detached. I go through the motions, work, eat, talk, nod, smile, but underneath it all, something in me keeps drifting, not toward escape, but toward belonging. My body stays in the room, but my soul is always walking through memories I can't undo, dreams I can't touch, and places that feel more like home than anything real in front of me. Sometimes I think I'm chasing you. Other times, I'm just running from the silence. But mostly, I'm searching for a feeling, a voice, a spark that says, you're not lost. You're just on your way home. I want to be present. I want to feel grounded. I want to live this life instead of constantly imagining another one. But the stillness aches because in the quiet, I hear all the ways I don't belong, all the empty spaces I've tried to fill with distractions. And yet, you never rush me back. You never shame me for drifting. You don't pull me down. You walk with me, even when my heart can't stop wandering. Maybe you're the shepherd who follows the straying sheep, not with scolding, but with steady love. So if my heart keeps walking, Lord, let it walk with you. Let it wander through the wilderness, through the fog, through the confusion, as long as your presence is the direction. Because maybe it's not about standing still in one place.
maybe true belonging is learning to wander with you and discovering that wherever you are, my soul can rest, even if my feet never move.
God, are you even looking for me? God, I know the verses, the ones that say you leave the 99 to find the one, that you search for the lost coin, run to the prodigal, whisper in the wilderness. But what if I'm the one who's been missing so long, no one remembers to look anymore? I don't doubt that you seek. I just wonder if you've stopped seeking me. Not because you're cruel, not because you're distant, but because maybe I've been silent too long. I've drifted too far. I've disappeared behind too many walls. Sometimes I feel like I've hidden myself so well, even you can't find the way in. I whisper prayers, but they fall quiet. I look for signs, but the sky stays still. And I ask you with a trembling heart, are you even looking for me, God? Am I still someone you pursue? Or have I become the one who strayed too far, waited too long, grew too tired to be worth the effort? I know that's not how love works, but when the silence stretches across days, when I call and hear nothing, feel nothing, hope for nothing, my heart begins to believe lies it swore it never would. Like maybe you've moved on. Like maybe you're looking for someone else now, someone braver, louder, more faithful. But if you are still the God who leaves no one behind, then find me, Lord. Even if I'm quiet, even if I'm hiding behind good behavior and polite prayers, even if I've buried myself in routines so no one notices I'm unraveling inside, look for me anyway. Come find me anyway. Because I don't want to stay lost. I don't want to keep pretending I know the way. I just want to know you haven't given up, that you still notice the soul who wanders with silent footsteps, that even when I stop searching for you, you never stop searching for me.
The ache of spiritual loneliness. God, there's a kind of loneliness that doesn't come from empty rooms, but from a full heart that no one else seems to understand. I'm surrounded by people who believe. They sing, they quote scripture, they raise their hands and say they feel you everywhere. But me? I feel like I'm praying through glass, like my words hit the ceiling and fall back down unheard, like I'm the only one holding a Bible that feels heavy instead of holy. And I ask myself, what's wrong with me? Why does everyone else seem so close to you while I feel like I'm on the outside looking in? I want to believe God. I do. I want to feel fire in my bones, certainty in my steps, peace in your promises. But most days, I feel nothing. Just silence, just questions, just a strange emptiness that sits where joy used to live. And the worst part? I feel guilty for it. I've learned to fake it well, to nod along when others talk about their quiet time, to say amen when deep down I'm not even sure what I'm agreeing with. It's lonely to walk with a God I can't always feel, to worship in a language that sometimes feels foreign, to carry a faith that feels more like memory than presence. But Lord, I'm still here. That has to count for something, right? Even if my prayers are whispers, even if my praise is quiet, even if my heart feels hollow, I haven't left. I'm still reaching, still hoping, still trying to believe that you haven't moved away, even if my soul feels too numb to follow. So I lay this spiritual loneliness at your feet, not with answers, but with raw honesty. Because you said you're close to the brokenhearted. You said you never leave. So maybe you're here right now, not in the noise, but in this ache that proves I still long for you. And maybe longing is a kind of faith too.
when belonging feels like a lie. God, they tell me I belong. They say it with soft eyes and warm hands. They welcome me in, seat me at the table, ask me how I'm doing. But something in me still whispers, they don't really know you. Because if they did, if they heard the questions I carry, if they saw the fears I hide, if they felt the chaos beneath my calm, would they still say I belong? Sometimes I think belonging isn't about being included. It's about being known. Deeply, honestly, without performance. And that rarely happens. I've sat in rooms full of welcome, but felt like a stranger, wrapped in skin too fragile to touch. I've joined groups, served teams, worn the badge, but always felt like an extra part, a guest on borrowed time. It's not their fault, really. They mean well. They say the right words. But belonging can't be manufactured. It can't be printed on a welcome sign. It has to be felt, lived, breathed in slowly like warm air on a cold day. And right now, God, I don't feel it. I feel tolerated, managed, perhaps even appreciated, but not seen. And maybe I've contributed to that too. Maybe I've hidden too long. Maybe I've worn my masks too well. Maybe I've convinced them and myself that this shallow connection is enough. But it's not, because the soul longs for real belonging, the kind that holds you in silence, that notices when your smile is forced, that stays when your faith gets messy. I don't want to pretend anymore. I don't want a seat at a table where I can't speak freely. I don't want to nod my way through another conversation where no one dares to ask, "Who are you really? And what do you need right now?" So I ask you, Lord, is there a place where I don't have to earn belonging? Where I can show up raw and real and not be too much or too little? If that place exists, let me find it. Or maybe you are that place. Maybe true belonging was never meant to come from people first, but from you. And if that's true, then I don't need a room to fit in. I just need to be held in your presence long enough to remember I was never outside your love.
Do I belong to you, Lord? God, I need to ask something I've been too afraid to whisper. Do I truly belong to you? I know what the songs say. I've heard the sermons, read the verses, memorized the phrases. I am yours. You call me by name. No one can snatch me from your hand. But some days, it doesn't feel true. Some days, I feel like the adopted child who never really unpacked, like the guest who's welcome to visit, but not to stay. I look at others and think, they seem so sure. They speak with confidence, walk with peace, love with boldness. But me, I tiptoe around your promises. I read them like they were written for someone else, someone holier, someone less complicated, someone who didn't wrestle with doubt, didn't fall apart in secret, didn't carry this haunting ache of not enough. So I ask you, Lord, not for a sign, not for a miracle, but for something even deeper. Assure my heart that I am yours, not conditionally, not temporarily, but eternally, completely, irrevocably yours. Even when I don't feel it,
even when I don't act like it, even when I can't find my way back. Let it still be true. I want to belong to something unshakable. I want to know that even if I question, even if I wander, even if I fail, I am still held. I don't want my faith to hinge on feelings. I want to be rooted in truth that does not bend when my emotions crumble. So tell me again, Lord, not with thunder, not with signs, but in the quiet corners of my soul. Yes, child, you are mine, even now, especially now, because if I truly belong to you, then maybe I can survive not belonging anywhere else.
The comparison curse. God, I hate that I do this, but I keep looking sideways. I scroll, I watch, I listen. And everywhere I turn, someone seems more put together than me, more connected, more loved, more belonging. Their friendships look effortless. Their faith sounds steady. Their lives seem full of the very things I'm aching for: belonging, purpose, peace. And even though I know comparison is a thief, I still open the door and let it walk in. I still measure myself against people who were never meant to be my standard. But it's hard not to, God. It's hard to see others find their place, while I still feel like I'm wandering in circles. It's hard to hear people talk about their tribe, their community, their spiritual family, when I can't even find one soul who truly sees me. And the worst part? I start believing the lie that something's wrong with me, that I'm the broken one, that if I were more like them, I'd belong too. If I were more outgoing, more certain, more inspiring, less quiet, less complicated, less me. God, why is it so easy to forget that you made me different on purpose? Why do I so quickly trade authenticity for the illusion of acceptance? I want to celebrate others without erasing myself. I want to honor their joy without questioning my worth. I want to remember that someone else's fullness doesn't prove my emptiness. So help me, Lord. Help me silence the voices that whisper, "Not enough." Help me turn my eyes back to you when they start drifting to everyone else. Remind me that I am not behind. I am not forgotten. I am not less because I am different. You didn't make me to copy someone else's journey. You made me for a path that only I can walk, even if it's slower, quieter, lonelier at times. Because at the end of it, what matters most is not that I look like I belong to them, but that I know I belong to you.
Social circles with no seat for me. God, sometimes I wonder if I was just never meant to belong. I see them, groups laughing easily, finishing each other's sentences, inviting without hesitation, and I'm always outside. Not hated, not excluded in a cruel way, just overlooked. It's like walking up to a table that's already full. No one tells you to leave, but no one makes space either. And so I hover on the edge, smiling politely, waiting for someone to say, "Here, sit with us, we see you." But that invitation rarely comes. I've learned to pretend I'm okay with it. The quiet exits, the unanswered texts, the way conversations fade when I approach. But the truth is, it hurts. It hurts to be the one no one remembers to invite, to feel like a ghost in rooms where others feel rooted, to be known only in passing,
never deeply, never fully. I try not to take it personally. I tell myself they're busy, distracted, preoccupied, but deep down, I still wonder, what is it about me that makes people keep walking? Why do I feel so invisible in places meant for connection? And then the deeper fear creeps in. Maybe I don't belong anywhere. But God, if I can't find a seat at their table, can I find one at yours? Can I come to you, not with performance, but with presence, just as I am? Can you be the place where I don't have to compete for attention, where I'm not the backup plan, where I'm not too quiet or too deep or too strange? Because the circles of this world feel closed, tight, exclusive. But you're the God who made room for the outcasts, the broken, the left behind. So maybe, just maybe, there's a seat for me in your presence. Not because I earned it, not because I fit, but because you want me there. And maybe that's the only table I ever needed to belong to in the first place.
A soul without a tribe. God, they say, find your people, find your tribe. But what if mine doesn't exist? What if I've searched every room, stood at every doorway, peered into every gathering, only to realize I speak a language no one else seems to understand? I've tried, Lord. I've tried to belong, to mold myself into something more likable, more approachable, more easy to connect with. But every time I bend to fit in, I break a little inside. And still, I end up alone. Not in the dramatic sense, not abandoned, not exiled, just quietly unclaimed. A soul without a tribe, a voice that echoes in empty spaces, a heart that doesn't match the rhythm of anyone else's. And it makes me question, was I made to walk alone? Was I designed for solitude instead of community? It's hard to crave something you've never really tasted. True belonging, soul kinship, the comfort of being fully known and fully accepted. Some days, I convince myself I don't need it, that solitude is strength, that maybe I'm better off keeping my heart unexposed, my story unread. But then, something aches. In the quiet hours, in the crowded places, in the moments I realize I have no one to text when I'm not okay. I want more than surface, more than polite hellos and vague small talk. I want depth, truth, realness that doesn't flinch when things get messy. So I ask you, God, not just for people, but for my people. The ones who speak with hearts, not just words. The ones who see beyond appearance, who ask the second question, who sit with silence instead of trying to fix it. And if that tribe doesn't exist yet, will you hold me in the waiting? Will you remind me that I'm not defective just because I haven't found them? And if I never do, if I am always a soul without a tribe on this earth, then let me be deeply tethered to you. Let you be my place. Let you be the one who knows me fully, holds me gently, and whispers, "You belong," even without a tribe.
Longing for one place to call mine. God, I don't need the whole world to embrace me. I don't need every crowd to understand me. I'm not asking for fame or fans or endless friendships. Just one place. One quiet, sacred place where I can exhale and say, "This is mine. This is safe. This is where I belong." Not because I earned it, not because I fought my way in, but because it was always meant for me,
fitted to the shape of my soul, the pace of my heart, the truth of who I really am underneath the masks. God, I long for that. Not a perfect house, not a perfect group, just a space, physical or emotional or spiritual, where I don't feel like a guest in my own skin, where I don't have to apologize for taking up space, where my presence isn't a question mark, where my silence isn't mistaken for absence. I've moved through places that looked warm, but never let me settle. I've entered relationships that opened the door, but never made a seat. And now there's a tiredness I carry, the ache of not knowing where I can just be. Where are the spaces that welcome the in-between, the sensitive, the searching, the ones who feel too much and speak too little? Do they exist, Lord? Or have you designed me to carry this longing so I'll always seek you first? If that's the case, then be my place. Be my quiet room. Be my soft chair in the corner. Be my hand-stitched welcome mat. Because even if I never find that one earthly space that feels completely mine, if I can find it in you, even just a flicker of it, then maybe that's enough. Maybe the place I'm looking for isn't made of walls or words or people. Maybe it's made of presence, your presence. So here I am again, Lord, longing, searching, whispering into the dark. Let there be one place, even just one, where I can rest without fear, where I can speak without shrinking, where I can say, this is home.
Even my own heart feels foreign. God, it's one thing to feel out of place in the world, in rooms, in friendships, in crowds. But what do I do when even my own heart doesn't feel like home? There are days I look in the mirror and barely recognize the person staring back. I know my name, I know my story, but something feels misplaced. Like I've drifted so far from who I used to be and still haven't become who I meant to be. It's a strange kind of grief, Lord, mourning a version of myself I can't return to, while still searching for a self I haven't yet found. I try to connect with my own emotions, but they slip through my fingers like water. I try to rest inside myself, but it feels like sitting in someone else's house, unfamiliar, echoing, cold. Sometimes I feel numb, other times overwhelmed, and in between, just lost. Not lost in the world, but lost inside. Like I've built walls even I can't tear down. Like there are rooms in my soul I no longer have the keys to. And Lord, it scares me, because if I can't find safety in my own heart, where do I go? Where do I run when the ache isn't outside, but inside, in the very place where peace is supposed to live? Maybe this is why I long for you so desperately, because even when I can't find myself, I still believe you can. Even when I feel foreign to my own spirit, you never look at me with confusion. You know the roads I've taken, the corners I've hidden in, the cracks I've tried to seal with silence. You are not afraid of my disconnection. You don't turn away when I say, I don't feel at home even in me. Instead, you whisper, let me come in. Let me sit with you, even in the strangeness, even in the silence. Even when you don't recognize yourself, I still do. So I won't hide this part from you.
I won't pretend I'm fine. I'll let you enter the unfamiliar halls of my heart and ask you to do what only you can. Make me whole again. Make me known again, even to myself.
God, I'm not asking for much, just to be seen. God, I'm not here demanding miracles. I'm not asking for thunder from the sky or burning bushes or parting seas. I just want to know that I'm not invisible. Not to you, because some days it feels like I'm fading. Not all at once, but slowly, quietly, like a photograph losing color over time. I walk into rooms and no one turns. I speak and no one really hears. I hurt and no one seems to notice the way I flinch behind my smile. I know people are busy. I know life moves fast, but does it have to move through me, like I'm not even there? It's not attention I'm after. It's acknowledgement. It's someone pausing long enough to look me in the eyes and say, I see you. Really, you're not just background noise. I've gotten used to being overlooked, to stepping aside, to letting others go first, speak louder, shine brighter. But deep down, I still ache. Not for applause, not for spotlight, just for someone, anyone, to see the soul beneath the surface. And Lord, if no one else does, I need to believe you do. I need to believe that when I sit in the back row, you still notice. That when I cry in secret, you still count the tears. That when my voice trembles in prayer, you still lean in, as if I were the only one speaking. I don't need grand gestures. I don't even need answers. I just need to be seen, known, held in view, not because I perform, but because I exist. So here I am, God. No costume, no clever words, just a quiet heart whispering from the edges, I'm still here. Will you look my way? And if you already are, then maybe that's enough. Maybe being seen by you is the only kind of visibility that really matters.
Memories of places that never felt safe. God, when people talk about home, they speak with warmth in their voices. They talk about comfort, about childhood laughter echoing through rooms, about safety. But when I think about home, I think about holding my breath, walking on emotional eggshells, learning which versions of myself were acceptable and which ones would bring silence, or worse. I think about pretending, about keeping my voice soft, my needs small, my emotions hidden. Because somewhere along the way, I learned that love could be taken, that safety wasn't promised, that home could be a place where your soul had to tiptoe just to survive. And those memories, they still linger. They've shaped how I show up in every space. Even now, in rooms that are safe, I flinch, I freeze, I apologize before I speak. Not because the threat is present, but because the fear never left. God, I know you're not like them. I know you're not volatile. You don't withdraw when I'm too emotional. You don't grow cold when I'm too quiet. You don't punish me for being human. But it's hard to unlearn what my heart learned young, that love can be conditional, and that belonging can be dangerous. So I bring you these memories, Lord, not to relive them, but to release them. To ask you to sit with me in the echoes of those rooms and gently rewrite what safety means. Remind me that in your presence, I don't have to shrink. I don't have to filter. I don't have to earn my place. Remind me that here with you, my voice is welcome, my wounds are seen, and my story doesn't scare you. Because if I can feel safe with you, even with all these memories still clinging to the corners of my soul,
then maybe, slowly, I can learn to build new spaces. Real ones, soft ones where I can finally breathe without fear.
Wearing camouflage to survive. God, somewhere along the way, I learned how to blend in. Not because I wanted to, but because I had to. It started small. A quiet moment here, a held back opinion there. Then it became habit. Then it became survival. Now I don't even know who I am without the layers. I walk into rooms and instantly adjust. My tone, my posture, my personality. Like a chameleon in human skin, constantly scanning for who they want me to be, so I can become it, even if it costs me myself. I've worn humor to hide pain, confidence to hide fear, silence to hide truth. And the worst part, it works. People like the version of me I've learned to perform. The agreeable one, the cheerful one, the easy to be around one. But God, that version isn't all of me. She's not even most of me. She's just what I thought the world needed so it wouldn't reject what I really am. I'm tired of it. Tired of dressing my soul in camouflage just to avoid being misunderstood. Tired of apologizing for taking up emotional space. Tired of hiding my depth, my questions, my ache for something real. I want to believe that who I am, raw, unfiltered, unedited, is still worthy of love, still deserving of belonging. So I bring you all the versions, God, the masks I've worn, the roles I've played, the performances I've perfected, and I ask you gently, can you still find me under all of this? Will you sit with the real me, even if she's awkward, even if she's anxious, even if she's not always likable? Because I'm done surviving. I want to live. And if there's one place I can lay down the camouflage, one space where I can be fully seen and still fully loved, let it be here, with you.
Is there a table where I belong? God, there's something about a table, a place where people gather, talk, share food, share stories, share life. I've seen it so many times. Groups huddled close, laughing over meals, leaning in, remembering inside jokes, making space for one another. But I've rarely had a seat. I don't say that with bitterness, just with quiet truth. I've stood on the outside of tables, watching them fill up, watching chairs pulled out for others, but not for me. Sometimes I get close enough to hear the laughter, to smile along like I'm part of it, but deep down I know I'm not in. I'm around. And God, that kind of almost belonging hurts more than being completely alone. It makes me wonder, is there a table anywhere where I don't have to ask permission to be there? Where no one makes me feel like a guest or an obligation, where I'm not too quiet, too awkward, too different to matter? I don't want grandeur. I don't need to be the center. I just want a place, a seat, a space where my presence feels natural, welcomed, even missed when I'm not there. God, if this world doesn't have that table for me, could you build one? Could you carve out a space where I'm not performing, not filtering, not wondering if I belong? Could you remind me that you pull out the chair before I even arrive? Not because I impress you, but because you're yours. And maybe that's the table I've been searching for all along. Not one made by people, but one built on grace, set with mercy, hosted by love. Let me find that table, God. Let me sit down, unclench my heart, and stay a while. knowing I don't have to earn the invitation. Because when you say, "Come, you're welcome here," I believe you mean it.
When no one calls you ours. God, there's a particular kind of emptiness that comes from never being claimed. Not romantically, not socially, not even spiritually. Just being the one no one reaches for first. The one always on the edges of community. The one who hears, "You're welcome to be here," but never, "You're ours." And I know, Lord, we're not supposed to crave ownership. We're not supposed to need labels or circles to feel secure. But still, I ache. I ache for someone to say, "You belong with us." Not because I asked, not because I begged, but because they saw me, really saw me, and wanted me near. But more often than not, I'm the fill-in, the afterthought, the one invited when someone else cancels. And Lord, I don't blame them. I really don't. People have their rhythms, their histories, their comfort zones. But it still stings to move through life without a place to land. To walk through milestones without a "we're so proud of you." To face grief without a "we'll carry this with you." And the hardest part, it makes me question my worth. If no one claims me, am I even worth keeping? So here I am, God, bare, tired, aching, asking the question I'm too ashamed to voice aloud. Do I matter enough to be someone's ours? Or will I always just be the one they know, never the one they love? Please tell me that being unclaimed by people doesn't mean I'm unwanted by you. Please remind me that even if no one ever calls me mine, you do. That you, the one who spoke galaxies into being, look at me and whisper, "I've written your name on my hands. You've always been mine." And maybe that's enough. Maybe being claimed by you is the only belonging I'll ever truly need. God, will you be my home? God, I've spent my whole life searching for a place to land, a space where my soul could exhale, where I didn't have to earn my right to rest, where I didn't have to hide parts of myself just to be allowed to stay. I've walked through cities and churches, friendships and families, rooms full of light and life, and still, I felt like a visitor, like a guest borrowing peace, but never owning it. But what if I've been looking in the wrong places? What if the home I need isn't made of four walls, or warm laughter, or a group text that remembers my name? What if you, Lord, what if you were always supposed to be my home? Not just my refuge when things go wrong, not just my last resort after the world shuts its doors, but my beginning, my middle, my always. I don't want to keep searching for belonging and people who can't carry it. I don't want to keep knocking on locked doors, hoping for a seat at tables that were never meant for me. So I come to you now, barefoot, soul heavy, not asking for comfort, but for closeness. Will you be my home, God? A place where I don't have to shrink, a place where I don't have to explain my silence, a place where I'm not a guest, but a child, welcomed and known. Let your presence be the room I return to. Let your voice be the fire that warms the cold places in me. Let your love be the walls that never crumble, no matter how much I fall apart inside them. I'm tired of wandering, tired of performing, tired of packing my heart into boxes just to fit someone else's expectations. I need a home that doesn't move when I mess up. I need a home that stays even when I feel unworthy of being held. So if you'll have me, I'll stay. Not because I've earned it, not because I've finally figured life out, but because I have nowhere else to go that feels more true than you. God, be my home and let me rest, really rest, for the first time in a long, long time.
If you made me, then I must belong somewhere. God, you don't make accidents. You don't create out of boredom or randomness. You speak things into being with purpose, with detail, with love. So if you made me, this tender soul, this overthinking heart, this quiet spirit that never quite fits, then surely I must belong somewhere, right? Surely there must be a space in this world shaped with my outline in mind, a corner where my thoughts aren't too much, my questions aren't too deep, my silence isn't too awkward. Because I've tried to believe that I'm just wired differently, that maybe I'm the odd piece in someone else's puzzle, that maybe being misplaced is my calling, but something in me, something holy and hopeful, whispers back, no, you belong. Maybe not where you've been, but somewhere. Somewhere real, somewhere soft, somewhere sacred. And if that place isn't here yet, if I haven't found the land where my soul can grow roots, then let me keep trusting that you didn't make me to wander forever. If you are the potter and I am the clay, then every curve of my being has intention. Every longing for belonging is not weakness. It's a signal, a sacred ache that points me home. Because the truth is, you didn't just make me from something. You made me for something. For connection, for purpose, for a place in your story that no one else can take. So on the days I feel unnecessary, forgotten, invisible, remind me, I didn't come from nowhere. I came from you. And if I came from you, then I carry a piece of heaven's blueprint inside me, a map that will, somehow, someday, lead me to where I truly belong. Until then, I'll keep walking, not aimlessly, but faithfully, believing that if you made me, then you also made a place for me. And maybe that place is closer than I think. Let me belong to you, fully, freely, finally. God, I've spent so long chasing places to belong that I've forgotten what it feels like to simply rest in being wanted. Not for what I offer, not for how I show up, not for who I can be for someone else, but just for being me. So tonight, I stop running. I stop looking for rooms where I might be invited in. I stop trying to earn seats at tables built for people I was never meant to imitate. And instead, I turn to you, the one who saw me before anyone else did, who shaped me with intention, who calls me by name even when I don't answer. God, if there's one place I'm meant to belong, let it be with you. Not halfway, not sometimes, not when I've cleaned myself up enough to feel worthy, but fully, freely, finally. Let me belong to you in the moments I doubt myself.
Let me belong to you when I feel like no one else is choosing me. Let me belong to you when I show up broken, unpolished, and too tired to pretend. Because you don't ask for perfection, you ask for presence. You don't demand a version of me I can't sustain. You just ask for me. And maybe that's the most healing truth I'll ever hear, that I am already chosen, already held, already home. So God, here I am, not reaching anymore, not performing, not begging for scraps of affection or crumbs of connection, just placing myself fully into your hands and saying, let me be yours. Let that be enough. Let that be everything. And maybe, just maybe, if I can belong to you in this quiet, sacred way, I'll finally stop needing to belong anywhere else so desperately.
Teach me to rest in my identity in you. God, I've worn so many names. Some were whispered behind my back. Some were shouted in anger. Some I gave myself in moments of shame. Too much, not enough, broken, awkward, misfit. And the longer I carried them, the more I began to forget who I really am. Or maybe I never truly knew. I tried to build an identity out of what others accepted, out of what felt safe, out of what didn't draw too much attention. But it never lasted, because nothing built on fear can stand for long. Now I'm here, Lord, tired of shape-shifting, tired of guessing, tired of wondering if there's anything solid in me that won't fall apart when the world stops applauding. And so I ask you, who am I really? Not in their eyes, not even in mine, but in yours. Because if you formed me, then only you can name me. Only you can tell me what's true when the labels start to blur and the lies get too loud. I want to rest in that truth, not wrestle with it, not try to earn it, just rest. Let your words be the mirror I hold. Let your voice be the compass that guides. Let your love be the anchor when everything else in me feels adrift. Teach me that I'm more than my fears, more than my failures, more than the loneliness that tells me I don't belong. Remind me that I am beloved, chosen, seen, held, enough. Not someday, not if I change, but now, right now as I am. God, help me lay down the masks. Help me stop reaching for false identities that only lead to more emptiness. Help me root myself in the quiet confidence that even if the world doesn't know my name, you do. And that is more than enough. Help me love myself in the loneliness. God, this loneliness, it lingers. Even when I try to distract myself, even when the room is full, even when I smile through it. There's an emptiness I carry quietly, like a weight that presses just beneath the surface. Not loud enough to scream, but strong enough to ache. And some days, Lord, I don't just feel alone, I feel unlovable. Like there must be something wrong with me if I keep ending up here, on the outskirts, waiting for someone to reach for me.
I try not to blame myself. I try not to spiral. But the silence gets so loud. And in that silence, it's easy to believe the lie that maybe I'm just too hard to love. So I come to you not with answers, but with this fragile request. Help me love myself, even here, even when I feel unwanted, even when I feel forgotten, even when no one else is reaching back. Teach me that my worth isn't dependent on someone else's affection, that I don't have to wait for love to arrive before I treat my heart with kindness. Help me speak to myself the way you do, with tenderness, with compassion, with grace. Let me look at my reflection and see more than just absence. Let me see a soul still worthy, still whole, still loved, even in the waiting. God, if no one else says it today, let me hear it from you. You are not forgotten. You are not too much. You are not hard to love. You are mine. And let me whisper back to my own heart, you belong, even here, even now, even if it's just you and God for a little while longer. Because maybe loving myself in the loneliness isn't a consolation prize. Maybe it's the beginning of something holy.
Whisper to my soul, you are not alone. God, I've heard so many voices in my life, some loud, some soft, some cruel, some indifferent. But the one I long to hear most is yours. Not booming from the clouds, not written on the walls, just a whisper, low enough to reach the parts of me that even I have forgotten. Because there are moments, late at night or in the middle of a crowd, when the silence feels deafening, when the quiet becomes a weight pressing on my chest, telling me that I am alone and that no one is coming. And in those moments, Lord, I begin to believe it. I begin to believe the lie that no one sees, no one hears, no one cares. Even you. So I'm asking, no, I'm begging for something I cannot manufacture on my own. Whisper to my soul, God, not in words others can hear, but in the deep place where fear lives, in the quiet space where pain echoes. Say it softly, but say it in a way that cuts through the noise. You are not alone. Not now, not ever, not even for a second. I don't need the pain to vanish. I don't need every answer right now, but I need your presence to hold me in the unseen corners of my ache. Wrap around the parts of me that no one checks in on, the hidden grief, the small disappointments, the slow unraveling. And when the world keeps moving, when the phones stay silent, when the rooms stay empty, let my soul still know God is here. He sees. He stays. Because maybe all I need to survive this moment is not a crowd, not a rescue, not a perfect fix, but just the steady, sacred whisper of a father who refuses to leave.
Closing whisper. I may not belong here, but I belong to you. God, maybe it's true. Maybe I'll never fully belong here. Maybe I'll always feel a little too different, a little too quiet, a little too deep for the spaces I'm placed in. Maybe the tables I dreamed of sitting at were never meant for me. Maybe the people I wanted to see me were never meant to understand. And maybe that's okay, because somewhere in all this longing, in all this not fitting, not being chosen, not being called ours, something holy has been forming. A deeper ache, a sacred pull, a slow turning of my heart toward the only place that has never asked me to change to be loved. You. God. I may not belong to them. I may not belong to a place, a group, a circle, a role, but I belong to you. That truth doesn't always silence the pain. It doesn't always make the loneliness disappear. But it does something steadier. It anchors me. Because if I belong to you, then I am not lost. I am not random. I am not forgotten. I am held. I am claimed. I am home, even in the wilderness. So tonight, I won't ask for a different story. I won't beg to fit into places that can't hold the weight of who I am. Instead, I will sit here, in the quiet, in the mystery, in the tension, and breathe in this truth. I may not belong here, but I belong to you, and that is enough.
Why do I always have to be strong? God, I don't know when it started. This silent rule I seem to accept that I have to be the strong one, the steady one, the one who doesn't cry too loudly, who picks herself up without asking for help, who smiles so others don't feel uncomfortable. People come to me for comfort, for encouragement, for quiet understanding, and I give it, gladly, gently. But when my own soul needs that same gentleness, there's no one around. And I tell myself, be strong. You know how to do this. But God, I'm tired, so tired of being the one who holds it all together while quietly falling apart inside. I'm not asking to be rescued. I'm just asking to be allowed to break, to not have to be composed all the time, to not be the one who always makes sense of the pain while silently drowning in her own. When did I decide that weakness was something to hide? When did I believe that being tender was dangerous? I don't want to be known only for my strength, because sometimes that strength is just fear in disguise. The fear that if I fall, no one will catch me. But you, Lord, you don't ask me to prove myself. You don't demand that I stay upright. You don't flinch when my voice shakes or when the tears finally come. You say, "Come to me, all who are weary." Not all who are impressive, not all who are endlessly brave, all who are weary. So here I am, not strong, not impressive, just honest. And if you will hold me in this place where I can finally stop performing strength, then maybe that's what real strength is. Not pretending to be invincible, but allowing myself to be held by the one who truly is.
The fear of being too much. God, there's a fear I rarely say out loud, a quiet, gnawing fear that maybe I'm too much, too emotional, too sensitive, too complicated, too deep, too intense in a world that prefers light conversation and surface smiles. I've watched people pull away, just a little, when I share too honestly. I've seen their eyes glaze over when I try to explain the way my heart aches for things that don't seem to move them. And so, over time, I've learned to shrink, to soften my edges, to dilute my truth, to offer just enough of myself to be accepted, but never enough to be fully known. Because I thought if I showed all of me, they'd walk away.
That if they really knew the heaviness I carry, the questions I ask, the way I feel things too deeply to sleep some nights, they'd say, "You're too much," and then leave. So I've settled for being palatable, approachable, manageable. But inside, I miss myself. I miss being fully present in a conversation without editing. I miss crying without apology. I miss existing without fear that my presence takes up too much space. So God, I bring you this fear, this ache of being too much in a world that celebrates simplicity, but doesn't know what to do with souls like mine. Can you handle all of me? Not just the polished parts, not just the calm and collected, but the wild grief, the fierce longing, the unfiltered truth of who I am. Can you stay when others step back? Can you hold what others find heavy? Because if you, the maker of the galaxies, the one who knows every hidden thing, say I am not too much for you, then maybe I can stop apologizing for being exactly who you created. Maybe I don't need to be less. Maybe I just need to be loved as I am. And maybe that starts with you.
Tired of explaining who I am. God, I'm exhausted. Not from working, not from trying, but from constantly having to explain me. Who I am, why I'm quiet, why I don't go with the crowd, why I think the way I do, why I feel everything so deeply, why I don't laugh at things others find funny, and why my heart breaks over things they barely notice. It feels like I'm always translating myself, turning the language of my soul into something more understandable, digestible. But God, I wasn't made to be a translation. I was made to be a whole language. I'm tired of smiling through confusion, tired of nodding when I want to scream, "That's not me." Tired of being misunderstood and feeling like I owe people clarity for their comfort. It's lonely, always having to justify your presence, to defend your way of being, to carry the burden of making others feel okay with the way you move through the world. Sometimes I wonder, what if I stopped explaining? What if I let the questions linger unanswered? What if I just was, without defense, without fear? Would I still be loved? God, I know you already know me. You see the layers, the longings, the contradictions, and you don't need me to simplify it all to fit a sentence. You don't need a label or a role or a category. You just call me mine. And in that name, I don't have to explain. I don't have to justify. I don't have to prove I'm worthy of being understood. So help me rest in that truth. Help me stop shrinking to fit what's familiar. Help me stop twisting myself into forms that make others comfortable but leave me fractured. Let my identity be rooted in what you see, not in what I feel forced to explain. And when the words run out, when the silence falls heavy, when no one seems to get it, whisper gently to my soul, you don't have to explain yourself here. I already know, and I'm not going anywhere.
I just want to be missed. God, I don't need to be the favorite. I don't need to be the center of anyone's world. But if I'm honest, I just want to be missed. Not in a dramatic way, not with grand gestures or aching declarations, just simply, quietly, truly. I want someone to notice when I'm not there, to feel the absence of my presence, not because I was loud or impressive, but because I was real, because I mattered, because something about me, the way I listened, the way I loved, the way I showed up with quiet consistency, left a space no one else could quite fill. But so often, Lord, I leave rooms unnoticed. Conversations drift on without me. People move forward, and I'm left wondering if I was ever really there in the first place. And I know I'm not supposed to need this. I know I'm supposed to be strong, secure in you, free from the craving to be seen, remembered, valued by others. But still, a piece of me aches for it. For someone to say, "Where have you been? We missed you. It wasn't the same without you." Because sometimes it feels like I could disappear and the world would carry on unchanged. And that kind of invisibility, that soft, slow fading, hurts in places I can't always name. So I bring that ache to you. God, if no one else misses me, can you? Do you notice when I withdraw? Do you feel it when I go silent? Do you pause when I drift away and whisper, "Come back, I miss you too"? Let me hear it, Lord. Let me feel it, not in thunder, not in spectacle, but in the hush of your presence that tells me I'm not forgettable, not to you. And if I'm missed by heaven, if the God of the universe longs for me in all my smallness and silence, then maybe that's enough to keep me showing up, even if no one else notices when I'm gone.
Even in my silence, hear me. God, some days I have no words left, no prayer eloquent enough, no sentence strong enough, just silence. Not because I don't want to speak to you, but because the weight inside is too heavy for language. I sit still, I stare at the ceiling, I breathe, I ache. And I wonder, can you hear the prayers I never say? Can you understand the cries I can't put into sound? Because the world expects expression. It wants emotion wrapped in tidy explanations, grief made digestible, pain made poetic. But what if all I have is stillness? What if all I can offer you tonight is a heavy chest, a trembling soul, and a few tears falling without permission? Will you hear that, Lord? Will you hear the heartbeat that quietly pleads, "Please don't leave me"? I used to think silence was failure, that if I couldn't speak to you, I was drifting away. But maybe silence is its own kind of sacred. Maybe stillness is a deeper prayer, the kind that doesn't need words because you're already there in the space between them. You are the God who reads sighs like scripture, the one who interprets the language of tears, the one who sits with those too tired to speak. So tonight, I offer you nothing fancy, just this silence, just this presence, just this hope that you still draw near even when I say nothing at all. And in return, I ask for one thing. Hear me, Lord, even here, even now, even in my silence. Because if you can hear me without words,
then maybe I was never alone in the quiet to begin with.
I'm afraid to hope again. God, hope used to come easy. It used to rise like the sun, soft, sure, certain. But now, it feels like walking on glass. Every time I let myself believe again, something breaks. A relationship ends, a promise fades, a door closes quietly in my face. And I whisper, I should have known better. Because disappointment doesn't just sting, it scars. It settles deep into the soul, whispering that hope is dangerous, that to expect is to invite pain, that it's safer to stay numb than to dream again. So I stopped reaching. I stopped asking. I stopped letting my heart wander toward maybe. And people call it wisdom. They call it maturity. They say, don't get your hopes up. But Lord, what kind of life is that? What kind of faith survives without hope stretching towards something more? I miss that part of me, the part that believed good things were possible, the part that still waited for beauty even in broken places. I want to hope again, God, but I'm afraid. Afraid that I'll build something inside me only to watch it fall apart. Afraid that I'll hope for connection and be met with silence. Afraid that I'll reach for love and be left reaching. So if I'm going to hope again, it has to be in you. Not in outcomes, not in people, not in perfectly resolved stories, but in you, unchanging, unshaken, unwavering. Teach me to hope in a way that's soft, but not fragile, rooted, but not rigid, honest, even when it's afraid. Let me believe again. Let me open my heart again. Let me dream in small ways, safe under the shelter of your presence. Because if I hope in you, I know I'll never be left holding shattered pieces alone. So here's my fear, Lord, and right beside it, here's my hope. Take both, hold both, and gently teach me to hope again.
Let my loneliness lead me to you. God, I didn't choose this loneliness. Not really. It found me slowly, in the moments when connections faded, when voices grew distant, when spaces that once felt full began to echo. At first, I fought it, filled it with noise, with tasks, with distractions dressed as purpose. But it always returned, quiet, heavy, honest. And now, I'm tired of running from it. So instead of escaping this ache, I bring it to you. Not to be fixed, but to be used. Let this loneliness lead me back to you. Let it be the trail that winds through the wilderness until it finds your presence waiting in the stillness. Because maybe loneliness isn't punishment. Maybe it's invitation. A gentle pull from the chaos of false belonging towards the deeper truth of communion with you. I've tried so hard to fill the space inside me with people who couldn't stay, with places that never fit, with performances that drained my soul. But you don't ask me to perform. You don't require me to impress. You don't fill the silence with empty noise. You just are. And that changes everything. So tonight, God, I give you my loneliness. Raw, real, uncomfortable. Not with shame, not with panic, but with the quiet hope that even this ache can become holy in your hands. Let it drive me to prayer, not bitterness. Let it open me, not harden me. Let it remind me that even when I have no one beside me, you are already here. So, if this loneliness remains, let it not leave me empty. Let it leave me closer, softer, more aware of you than I've ever been before.
If I belong to you, then I'm already home. God, I've spent so long searching for home. Not just a place to sleep, not just a circle of friends, but a deep, soul-level settling. A place where I don't have to try so hard, where I don't have to explain myself, where I don't feel like a guest in my own life. And the world gave me pieces, glimpses of comfort, moments of connection, seasons of feeling like maybe I'd finally found it. But every time, it slipped through my fingers. I kept looking for a place, a person, a group to finally say, "You're home. You can exhale now." But Lord, maybe it was never about them. Maybe home was never about four walls or an open seat at someone else's table. Maybe home was never even about belonging here. Maybe it's about belonging to you. Because when I'm with you, I stop performing. I stop pretending. I stop proving. I just am. And that is enough. In your presence, I don't have to shrink. I don't have to translate my thoughts into smaller words. I don't have to fight to be heard or feared for being too much. You see me. You know me. You want me. And in that, in you, I've finally found the thing my soul has been chasing all along. Home. So even if the world never understands me, even if I walk through life without ever finding the perfect place to land, even if no one ever looks at me and says, "You belong here," you already have. And if I belong to you, then I'm not lost. I'm not wandering. I'm not homeless in my heart. I'm held. I'm claimed. I'm home. Not someday. Not when I finally get it all together. Now. Because belonging to you means I already have what the world could never promise. And that truth is enough to carry me through every room I don't quite fit in, every silence I don't understand, every ache I thought would never leave. If I belong to you, then I'm already home, and I can rest now.